Hey, everybody, welcome back to Mortgage Ballers. My name is Rich Hanlin, and yes, sitting right next to me is Mr. Noel Bennett. Noel, thank you for coming on today. We're going to have some things to talk about.
Perfect. Yeah, Rich, thanks so much for having me on. I'm excited to talk.
Yeah, if you don't know Noel Bennett, you should. Noel Bennett is one of the best of 2024 at a top 10 national brokerage called Xpert Home Lending. He was one of the top 25 for the company. And believe me, when you got 600 plus, I think there were 620 on December 31st, and he was one of the top 25 in the whole company, let alone if I were to put him on a national scale. And when those numbers come out in Scotsman's Guide, I'll have a feeling he's going to be one of the top in the nation overall for any company, not just Xpert. But congratulations on doing that, because we make it hard on you. We added 200 more. We added 400 more total, I think. And so we're trying to make it hard on you. We keep throwing people at you, but you still came out on top. That's awesome.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. I didn't know all that background truly. I think, there's a huge part of the team that we have here in our little company. We have some amazing processors, and we also have a very collaborative environment with our loan officer group that really helps, like, any given day. It helps me and I think everyone else figure out these deals to get them done quickly and easily. It's awesome. The group mind think we have.
Now, give me a couple questions real quick. Let's bring everybody up to date here. And by the way, if you're getting into this and you think, oh, I'm going to click off, well, shame on you if you do. When a top originator in the United States of America takes his time or her time to kind of get a mindset into their day, just push play and listen, understand what success is versus not success. You have the same license. Why is this person being successful in the same economy, the same market, and you're struggling, thinking you're working 3 jobs? Something's missing, and you have a captured moment where you can just listen for a minute. Pay attention to Noel, because Noel also does, his average loan size is one of the larger, I think, of Xpert Home Lending as well. That's something I've noticed when you become top 10 month over month and stuff like that. So that's an interesting, you're an incredible market. But let's go down the list in the day in the life of Noel Bennett. First of all, where do you live? Where's your main market?
I live in Boulder, Colorado. I grew up here, so I've always kind of been here. And this is my main market. I try to branch out into some of the, I guess we'll call them bedroom communities or suburbs around Boulder. But my business is focused in Boulder, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing loans? Total, not just Xpert.
Yeah, I think it's been 25 years or real
Right
close
on.
to that. Crazy. Yeah.
Give
Yeah.
me some of that.
It's insane.
And if
Just
I
be able
took
to
my
say it.
hat off, I would join you in that,
Yeah.
the pain of doing loans for so long.
Oh yeah, you can see here what's happening. Yeah, it takes a toll.
Right. It's like if you still have a lot of hair, you probably haven't done a lot of loans or you haven't been doing it long enough,
That's
because
right. That's right.
we internalize it. One thing I know about successful people in this industry, you don't shy away from any deals. Number one, if there's a deal there, if someone leaves me and someone finds a way to do it, I'm embarrassed. I'm like, I should have caught that. So I don't do that very often. If I can't do it, I've turned over every stone. It's just not your time. If someone says they can do it, $5 says that they can't, and you'll be back. But I also want to make sure I treat all my customers the same, even if they're the hardest loan on the planet, or if they're the easiest loan, whether it's a $100,000 purchase or it's a $2 million purchase. They wouldn't know a difference when they talk to me. They get the best of Rich Hanlin because it's a transaction. And I'll tell you what, Noel, some of those $100,000 deals, 20, 30 years later, those are some of the VPs at some of the biggest companies in the United States. And they're still using me for those loans because I treated them right on the front end.
Yeah, it's 100% how I operate. And I think I don't really even think about the loan size. I think about this is another family or person trying to get into their first home or their 10th home. And it's just as important whatever they're doing. So it's very critical. And it's in my nature to like really care about what people think about the process. And to the point, it really is painful for me when something goes wrong. And in this business, things can go wrong. So I also try to remember, sometimes it's hard, but when things go wrong, how do you recover from it? How do you treat the client? How do you find a solution and make the agents feel like everything's being taken care of? So Yeah, that's a huge focus. And I wish to say every deal went super smoothly, and that's not the case. So it's a lot of this is like problem recovery, problem solving, and I actually love that part. That's one of the reasons I still do it. It's awesome.
It's funny you say that because I was going to make a joke like problems. We don't have any problems. But, growing up, one of my favorite shows was Sherlock Holmes, right? He could see what others couldn't. He could stand back and look and figure things out. And that's how I've always felt loans are. I can see the red flags. And then my question is, how am I going to overcome that? I've overcome it this way before, and this is the lender that I did it with. Let me go find that file. And I can remember, I'm like, oh, I remember that file. Let me go look. Okay, this is how we worded it. This is what we did. Oh, it was 433A where we took a manufactured home and we put a permanent foundation and we had to get the permit. Oh, this is what we did on that in order to make it real property. Now I remember. And because people are like, oh, it's not real property. Just they throw stuff and you're like, no, I've seen this before. And I've always been able to kind of remember, and I hold on to everything.
Yeah.
Because especially the tough ones.
Right. Well, you said something that really resonated with me, the red flag theory. So a great originator, a mentor sort of, for me said, you should never go past the red flags waving on the horizon when you're even right in the beginning phase of that application. And I truly have had a history of doing that. I like to think I can just make things work. And I've really learned over time. I'm not perfect at this, but to stop at those red flags and just know that's going to come up in our process. So address it right then and there and don't go past that without mentioning to the client, because invariably what happens is they're like, why didn't you tell me that? Why didn't you bring this up? We probably could have dealt with it. And it's taken a long time to learn. I'm still learning, but it's a critical piece that you mentioned, that red flag theory, as I call it.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I agree. And I think my underwriters appreciate it more because they're like, oh, I got Dill from Rich. Typically, he's going to point out all the red flags. Where it's not like, see if you can catch it. I'm not trying to trick them. I'm trying to work with them. It's a partnership. It's a relationship.
Yeah, you have
So I
that. You
like
have
that.
that thing where maybe this will just slip right through. No, it doesn't slip through.
It
And
never
especially the
does.
big,
It
yeah,
never does.
yeah, right.
All right. I know this answer, but I want you to share it because I have been interviewing a lot of people. I do it just to get to know you guys. But number two, there's a methodology behind it. I interview anybody across the spectrum, and my mind is there's that Sherlock Holmes going. I'm like, what is different here versus different here? I'm going to share what I'm talking about, and then you're going to weigh in on this thought. I know for a fact there's two guys in Boulder right now. One of them's a top 25. Matter of fact, one of them was top 3 at Xpert Home Lending. In that same market that he's setting records in 2 years in a row, the other side of it is going out to get a full-time job and is about ready to file bankruptcy. I'm not giving no names. I'm just saying those two things exist at the same time in the same market. They both have a same license. They've both been in the industry. And what I pick apart in my mind is I want to know what it is that this person's doing for success that this person is not doing. Because if I asked them both separately, they'd say, man, I'm working hard. I have a busy day. I'm going 100 miles an hour. Man, it's the market. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to add injury to insult, but I am going to let, in my mind, I'm going, there's something missing here. If I could figure what it is, maybe I could help this person. But people say, well, why would you help the bottom end of your spectrum? And I'm like, well, because sometimes those people are one thought process away from moving up from the bottom and getting to the middle. I'm not asking to be a top 25, but if I can get them, if they're going to be here, is there anything I can help and construct with? And what's your thoughts on that? I mean, you happen to be in the Boulder. Are you the one leaving? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, right, exactly. Never.
But again, now, and I wasn't talking about Noel, by the way. I have other successful people in the Boulder market. You just happen to be in Boulder. And number one, you're part of a team. I want you to touch on that. You're not a lone wolf. Number two, talk to me about that mentality of that you take every day when you wake up. There's something in that recipe that's not on the other side. And I want to know what it is. Talk to me.
I think that I look on my whiteboard over here and I keep 2 things. One is KISS. It's a military thing. Keep it simple, stupid. The other one is SWEAT, which is same way every time. I try to follow those 2 things really closely in that I have a kind of a routine during the day, especially the morning. And I try to do every loan. I have template emails like in my quick parts for every piece of the loan process. I have a loan process email. I have your disclosures are out email. I have your file's been turned into processing email introducing the processor. I think all those little things add up to a really good experience for the client. And thus, many of my transactions, many of my deals come from database referral. Truly, I would like to, after all this time, I don't have like that many deep relationships with realtors. I have a lot of realtors who will send me deals, but I don't think I'm their only one. And that's actually a problem for my business. So I could really build on that. But I think on the other side, I do a very good job for clients because I try to stick to the same routine every time. And I really try to get loans into processing and underwriting like literally day one or day two of the contract. So if there's going to be a problem, we find out about it early, we can recover and switch approaches and get that thing clear to close quickly. So I'm really focused on my 5-star reviews. I think that's really important. I didn't start that effort till way later than I should have. I'm getting close to 100 and I try to have this.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. I'd like to get, 200. So that's kind of a goal. But it all involves like even that I have a template email for my Google reviews that goes out. I send it out like 3 or 4 days after closing.
So you even ask for the Google review or remind them so that we can get them to there. You're actively asking
Yeah.
for them to follow up because you know how important it is.
I know how important it is. And I've had people just call me right out of the blue from a Google search. So I think if I can keep building on that, that's one of the efforts I want to keep going with. Yeah. And I just think that, I mean, I do have the benefit of being in this a long time. And frankly, Boulder's a fairly small market. So I think I have a good reputation. No agent is afraid of my pre-approval letter. Like, ooh, I wonder what's going to happen with this loan. I think there's a sense of confidence there that, hey, this is going to get done, or if there's a problem, he's going to fix it and work with me to do so. So, I mean, some of it's luck, some of it's just sheer determination. I'm good at not giving up. So I do a lot of athletic stuff and I have in my life. So that's kind of always focused me on trying to get to the finish line. This is all sounds like cliche, but it's true. I grind till I get there, and I'm not afraid to work hard. I've had so many people reach out to me about this job. Like, it seems like you don't have to work that hard. You can travel and you can make a lot of money. Well, I said, you can travel. You don't have to work that hard, but you're not going to make a lot of money and you're not going to have a lot of closing. So something's got to give there. It's hard work,
Unless you're Mike Soka.
Yeah.
He is the exception to the rule.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I try to find that balance. I've spent a lot of time away from my kids and such, so I think there is a way to do it where you work hard at the times you want to work hard, and then you play hard too. And I've done a lot of the work too hard and not play enough.
Me too.
So you got to find that balance.
You said something which I found interesting. You talked about sports and athletics. I was introduced into the broker world and we had files. And at the very top of every file, we had really important information. But we had what's called the game plan. We had what the rate was, what was talked about, so that if I died tomorrow, someone could pick up that file and pick up and say, talk to the wife. She prefers to be called Barbara. This is what they're attempting to do with this loan. That was so important that people they're trying to save money. No. Save money. How much are they expecting to save? And what are they going to do with that savings? And make it personal, because anybody can do I saved that person $300. Cool. But what does that do for them? What's the human side of that? No, talk to the wife, because I don't think you understand. She needs that $400 savings because she's going to do this, and this. They're making a change. They're doing this. It's possible that they're going to have another kid in 2 years. Like, when you can call up and say, hey, my name's Rich Hanlin. I know you've been talking to Noel. Noel's not in today. I saw you tried to call. We just got the approval. I just wanted to follow up. And Barbara, how you doing? I know we're going to get you to the finish line because I know you're trying to accomplish this, and this. And I remember people are like, dang, everybody we talk to knows exactly what we're trying to accomplish. That has been lost with the electronic loans and the way we transition from one to the underwriter. Unless you paint a story, we used to send a letter with every loan to every underwriter and said, I want to introduce you to my client. This is what they're trying to accomplish. Now, I get a lot of AUS and stuff like that. Back in the day, there were loans before AUS, like I have an approval where the underwriter had to make that decision. And it just taught me to really get deep and say, look, what you're seeing is this. Yeah, it's $300. What you're not seeing is they're barely putting food on the table. This would be life changing to them. I've had people, Rich, $100 would make a difference in my life right now. It sounds like, I call it a game plan, touching those files at all those key moments consistently. he understands me. He's keeping me informed. He's heard me, and they follow through with you. So many people, I take a nap and I'm like, cool. When's the last time you talked to your borrower? Well, I'll talk to him in a couple of weeks. Oh my God, why are you not talking every week? Your
Yeah.
realtors, your partners, just overwhelm them with information. I don't understand why it's so hard.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. I mean, it really pains me when someone, either an agent for the buyer or the buyer themselves, has to check in with me and say, "What's going on with my file?" And it happens sometimes to me still, but it doesn't happen often. And when it does, it reminds me, okay, I didn't follow my procedure or my normal protocol. So, but you know how it is. If you have to call whoever you're working with on some other transaction in your life multiple times to find out what's going on, you don't have the best feeling. And it also shows a lack of caring, I guess. And
Yeah,
to
I
your
agree.
point, I mean,
Michael Radcliffe talks about that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And tying back to you had a question about the team thing, which I didn't totally address, but our team came up with this loan turn-in sheet for our processors, and it asks those questions of,
Oh, good.
who's the main point of contact, husband or wife or boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it is. And so use that person, what's their nickname? If it's Barbara, they go by Babs or whatever. So it's little things like that I think
Those
can
are
make
huge.
a big difference. And our processors are really bought in because of that too. They understand, like, one of the things, the first thing is the reason for this loan. Sometimes it's easy and obvious. These people are buying their first time home, or these people are refinancing, like you said, to save money or to cash out for home improvement. It just all helps to know the background. And Alex or one of our processors can pick up and know exactly what I was trying to do if I have to be out for a week, like you said. So I love
I
that
agree.
part. And yeah, and our group is, I think we all have a bunch of loan officers and processors are all pulling the same direction. We understand this isn't a zero sum game. It's not like I'm going to get every last loan and no one else is going to get any loans. It's more like, if like a rising tide lifts all boats for us. If we all do a good job, we all have access to help more clients into new homes. And so it's like, hey, how do I pick you up and you pick me up? Same thing with what you're trying to do here is, like, if another top producing loan officer, I will listen to those people all day long because I know they have habits and things that are better than what I do. And I always learn something. Always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got Megan Lamerato
Yeah.
that I did the other day.
Yeah.
Mr. Matt Hardy, he,
Yeah.
he doesn't know, but I'm going to sneak one in, even if I've got to fly in and sit him down because I know he's a very busy person, but he's like a top 10 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
And we
He's
make it hard on you guys. We
very
keep bringing
prolific.
other top people in.
Yeah. Yeah. Two people in my market that I don't look at them. They're teammates. They're not competitors. And it's not that Megan just took a loan from me. She got another loan. There's plenty of loans to go around. So we love taking loans from some of our big competitors like credit
I'm sure
union,
you do.
particular that we don't like. So yeah, so we focus on that, not on who got more loans than me and my team. If they're doing better than me, that's awesome. What can I learn from them?
Yeah, no, I agree. I know that you're a top originator, and I'm hearing about the caring, I'm hearing about consistency, I'm hearing about making notes to yourself that you're constantly, and what I'm hearing is you have figured out how to leverage your time and your day and your energy for the most part in a direction that leads to the highest success rate for you because you're able to care and be consistent. That sometimes comes from the pain of doing it the other way, where you get your fingers crushed and like, wow,
Right.
that didn't go well.
Yeah.
Um, but even more so, you have to have an outlet when you're not in loan mode. Who are you when you're not doing loans? What kind of hobbies do you have? What kind of life do you have outside of being a loan originator?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I have spent a long time. I do a lot of skiing, snowboarding, backcountry skiing. I
Wow,
ride dirt bikes a lot, so the motorized version, a lot of trips to the desert. I have a large group of other people, both men and mostly men, some women that are keep me trying to keep up with them. So I focus on trying to get better. I do martial arts like at least 3 times a week, jujitsu. So yeah, and that's a fairly new thing. I mean, you can tell by looking at me, I'm old. I just started jujitsu like 5 years ago. So
I don't want to hear how old you
yeah,
are. I'll be 58 here in a couple months.
okay, I'm right on your heels. I'll be 57 here in
Yeah,
6 months.
whatever. You're
Yeah.
younger.
But I think that, I do think what I do in my spare time, it all is focused on trying to improve. Like, it happens to be athletic, but I also meditate every morning. I write about other topics. I like to do a Substack thing that I have. So I do have other things and routines that keep me fairly structured, I guess I'll
Okay.
say it. And I can branch out from them. We do love to travel, and that's been a hard thing for me in this business. It's hard to travel in this business. So
It is.
constantly trying to figure that one out. How do you travel and check out while you
Let
travel?
me know when you figure it out. I
Yeah,
could really
I
use that
will.
help.
I was going to ask you the same, or anyone else out there. If they know, please tell me. So, yeah, I think that I do a lot of that sort of stuff in my off time, my not work time.
Yeah. When I go for a week, if I try and go somewhere for a week, so I don't very often, I have to take my computer. My wife gets really upset. If we go for like leave Friday night, come back Sunday, I'm like, I can get away with it, and I'll shut everything down. And I'll be honest with you, she prefers, and when she's happy, I prefer that. Those shorter trips, she's like, Rich, I really don't want to go on a longer trip because you're only half in and half out. And
Yeah.
and it made me think about some things, Noel, because I was like, this is my number one cheerleader. And she knows that I give 100%, not just to the company, but to my borrowers, to my agents. And I've had to figure out that balance because just knowing that she feels 50% of that, like, gosh, you know so much about all these people, but yet you forgot how to order my Subway sandwich, and I'm like, you're right. The one person I need to be 100% in tune with. So I've been working on that. And I'm like, well, I take good notes. Why is I'm not taking great notes on my wife? And it's not, I mean, it takes 35. I'm going on that 35-year type experience as well. And I'm thinking she has been married to a broker for a long, long time.
Man, yeah, what you said really resonates with me. I've, and I don't like to admit I've spent a lot of time focused on my work at the expense of my wife took the brunt of the parenting when the kids were young and all that. And I mean, I do have some regrets about that. But life's about learning. And I think we all start at a certain point and hopefully are interested in figuring out what you've seemed to figure out. I'm still doing that too.
Oh,
And
I'm still figuring it out, believe
yeah,
me.
yeah, it's not like you just wake up one day and it's all different, but
There's no book that
there's
walks us
no
through
book.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. So what makes you probably, and I think what has made me good is I do really care about the borrowers almost to the point that you ignore some of your own personal stuff. And that's a hard balance.
That is.
Yeah. I think I've gotten better, but I'm, far from perfect. And that's where my meditation practice comes in. I think a lot about presence because if I can be present and put my phone away at dinner time, just for one example, and that hasn't always been the case. Sometimes I'm looking at my phone, but I can mostly do that now. And then I know I might have to come back to work for an hour after my wife goes to bed way earlier than I. So I have a little bit of time. And that's okay because I'm just down here by myself then. But presence for my kids and my wife and friends and other family, it's key. It's hard to do.
Yeah, what I found is if I will make time for The Bachelor and Bachelorette and make time for Temptation Island
Right.
and a few other shows
Yeah.
and not pick up my phone, that does lead to a little more quality time. And as silly as those shows are, my wife and I sit back and kind of laugh. Now we got
We do the same.
we're watching The Golden Bachelor and The Golden Bachelorette. It's like, oh my gosh,
Oh yeah.
time
Wow.
travels
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah. Well, what happens to me is when I do that and I'm present, I look over and my wife's now scrolling on Instagram. So I have to remind her, hey, if you're not watching this, so we can't discuss it. It's kind of funny. So we have this little battle like that sometimes.
Well, we do it too.
Yeah.
My wife's
Yeah.
like, do you have to comment on everything? I'm like, well, that's not real. Nobody does it that way.
Totally.
No
Yeah.
one asks each other what they do for a living, or don't they want to know these things? If we get
Yeah.
married, how will you provide? Like,
Right.
what are they going to ask these questions?
And we're my wife.
Advice from a 23-year-old.
Yeah. Yeah. We're masters of the Netflix series and stuff. If people want to know what they should watch, they come to us because that's like one of
Well,
our.
I'll let my wife know. We'll
Yeah.
get switch, and because my she's part of all these groups on Facebook. Somebody talked about this one right here, and we'll watch a lot of trailers, and we'll both go like thumbs up or thumb down. I'm like, I don't know.
Totally. Yeah.
All right, I want to know more. I want to I always say peel back that layer a little bit, but and I won't hit you up for all these. I know I'm capturing you on your day of work, and guess what? He's got other things going, believe it or not. He's got other responsibilities. But here's a question. What's a lesson you've learned the hard way, but you're now grateful for?
Where do I start?
It's hard to ask a 23-year-old that, but I
Yeah.
might be able to ask a 56, 57-year-old that.
Well, I think one of the issues I have had in this business and still have to a degree is it's almost trying to be too nice and accommodating and thus getting myself into trouble with either a loan that probably didn't have any business being submitted or it could have been submitted in a much better way. And it ties in, I don't want to repeat myself a little bit with the red flag theory, but I've had times too where I know we're going to need 2 years tax returns and they don't have one filed for some reason I said, well, let's just try with one. Well, I don't really have a plan with the one. So I've really learned the lesson that I'm going to stop and give the borrower the hard news that this is what has to happen to get this loan, or we have to switch loan types, which may come at the cost of a higher rate or something. So that's one big lesson. I'm still in the process of learning, but I'm 1,000 times better today than I was 10 years ago, where I thought if I made this easy for people and, kind of get stuff to sneak through, they'll come back to me. And I realized that's not good service, So yeah, it's been a painful learning lesson, many, many nights of stress, when it could have been avoided, frankly.
A lot of people don't realize, but back in the day when I first started, you could charge 10 points on a Fannie Mae loan.
Yeah.
I came to this industry and I was the closer. And I was taught how to use psychology and everything to take my loan officers. Well, I shouldn't say they weren't mine. I worked at a company. But I was amazed that, I learned the industry to do it that way. You came in at one point, cool, you're going out the door at 10. And I would stress, and I'm thinking, why do we do it this way? I don't understand. Like, we would push people all the way to the brink of they would leave and go somewhere else. Like, we're not doing it for anything less. And that was the old original lending to broker mentality. I mean, we're going back 30 plus years, people. Thank God they brought stuff in, because what I learned when I left that company, I learned a lot, but there was good things I learned too. The psychology of people, how to speak to people. That's where I learned the game plan. Like, you really had to understand what people were accomplishing so that you could get them in that direction. The question, how did we get them there? Back then we had subprime loans, things like that. We had a lot of things to help people work their way through. But what I learned when I left, I was like, I think I can get to the same result by just being honest. Because I'd rather be honest and say, hey, your credit's horrible. You're not going to get this rate. I know that we talked and that's what you answered my ad for, but you're not going to get it. This is what you are going to get, and I can accomplish 70% of what you want. It'll be the same today as it will be when you walk out the door, and this is what I'm going to charge for that. I'm going to leave it right here. You got it in black and white. So that other guy's saying he can do the Fannie Mae, go ahead, go for it. I'm here if you need me,
Right. Yeah, don't you think?
I slept much better at night.
Right. Yeah, and I probably didn't learn this nearly as fast as I should have, or you did. But don't you think one of the things we try to do as law officers is avoid having people shop or try to find an easier answer. And the truth is, if you know the answer for these borrowers and they do go shop and someone tells them what they want to hear, you may have lost that loan, but that person is really going to look foolish, that loan officer, when they blow it up, a week before closing. And it might not be any satisfaction to us who lost that deal, but we know that wouldn't have happened. And
right, I'll tell realtors what's going on too. No,
yeah,
like
exactly.
I'll tell them this is why this is going to go down that way. I get that your person's telling them this, that your person's wrong, just so you know.
Right.
They're not going to do it. I get that you're going to end up, I've already given you the game plan of how you're going to go out the door, and he'll probably do it just like I presented it, but he's getting you over there by saying this. Just remember that, Mr. Realtor, because if that's how you want to get your people in the door, I don't operate like that. You want reality, because I can pull off miracles too, but we're all going to be working on the same miracle. We're not going to lie to each other.
Yeah, 100%. That's well said. No question.
Yeah. Who inspires you? I mean, you can do anything you want in this world. You're a loan originator. I hate just saying originator. That's part of what we're doing here. I want people to understand, no, he's all these things, plus he can do loans. But who inspires you nowadays? I mean, that can change over time, but today,
yeah,
who is that? What is that?
Well, man, this is going to sound corny, but you mentioned Matt Hardy. He's a youngster. I actually hired him at my last company to come in under me and help some of the realtors in our joint venture group.
Okay.
And I was like, he's going to be under me for a year or two. And I learned quickly, I was like, Matt, I think you can just fly on your own with this group of realtors. I look at what he's done to become one of those very top producers you mentioned. And I'm just always so impressed at what he does on a daily basis to personally connect with his realtors. That's a shortcoming I have. I use a lot of text or emails. He calls them, and so he's calling me right now, actually. But he calls them.
I forgot to tell you, we're doing this live, so he's probably listening.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So he is he's always at the forefront of like personal connection with agents and borrowers. And I'm trying to pick up on that and remember, even though I'm an old dog, I can learn new tricks, or just remember what got me here is that sort of connection. It's one of the reasons I still love this job, both with realtors and with borrowers. But he reminds me constantly that you can't you can't sit back and rest on what you've accomplished in this job. You have to every month be pushing forward, learning new things, making those connections, or reviving things that maybe you let go of that worked well in the past.
Man,
And
that's
that's a
great
good
advice.
one. Watching my kids grow up and become people in the world. One lives in Hawaii now, and one lives in Spain for this semester. And I'm just so impressed with the people they've turned out to be. So they inspire me to try to be better too, truly.
I like it. I
Yeah.
like it. I heard something the other day. Someone, this guy, Dan Martell, he's got a book out right now, Buy Back Your Time. And I was listening to it, but one of the things he talks about, these kids run up to him, they see the Lamborghini and go, man, what do you do for a living? Man. And he's like, well, most people answer the question, I do this, this, and this. And he said, quite honestly, I answer it differently. I say, it's not what I do for a living, it's what I don't do for a living. And they're like, well, what do you mean? He says, I've learned not to waste my time in certain directions on certain things, and I concentrate my time towards the things that leverage me toward the success I'm trying to achieve. And I'm like, wow, how much time do we all waste? And Tony Robbins talks about it. You have a choice every day. Take choices that lead in the direction that you're trying to go. Don't get pulled off the path. They all say it differently, but it's so true that the fastest way to success is staying the path. Oh, I'm going to get drunk this Sunday night. I don't normally drink, but I'm going to get drunk. But man, I have a closing in the morning. Yeah, but you might not be your best. Why would you take the chance? Pull yourself back in, because that's when you're top agents and you need to make sure you're the best for them on Monday morning. Stuff like that.
Right. No, that's great. Yeah. I should read that book. I think it reminds me, like, when we say yes to something, we've also said no to something else. We might not know
Yeah.
what we said no to, but we can't say yes to everything. There's a limited amount of time. So I do try to think about that. This whole conversation reminds me of all my shortcomings, to be honest. And that's one thing I'm pretty hard on
That's
myself.
not what it was designed for,
Yeah.
I
Right,
promise.
right. But I'm hard on myself, probably too much so. I forget, and I think this is one thing we should all do. When you have success, you should enjoy it. You should try to remember to celebrate it in at least a small way. I don't do a lot of that. It's kind of like, all right, what's the next loan? Let's move on. Yeah, I think not being so hard on yourself or other people is a good tip as well. Let things go. If you make a mistake, you just got to move on. And we're not going to nail every loan. I had one the other day that left, and someone did a great job proposing something that I hadn't thought of. And I just was like, why didn't I think of that? But it's a great learning lesson. Now I remember it just wasn't in my front of my mind at that time.
I think about stuff. I'm not perfect, but out of all the people that could possibly help that borrower, I know I'm one of the best in the industry because I have a lot of knowledge, a lot of well-rounded experience, and I've got 10,000 loans behind me, and I've got war wounds to show for it. What I'm getting at is this. You know, I honestly believe that when I meet people, whether it's a realtor, a borrower, talking to some possible different referral partners, speaking in front of people, one person or a couple people, I know what I bring to the table. And I think, Tom Brady, you wanted the ball in his hands with less than 30 seconds left. He was going to, or I'm sorry, let me give you a John Elway story. We'll put
My
John
favorite
Elway in there.
of all time.
Right. I mean, you weren't going to bring in the backup for that. You may lose that transaction, but you had the best person in the slot trying to make it work for you. I believe every day when I wake up, and sometimes I have multiple people I'm going to talk to and say, "Well, I'm going to be tired by the end of the day." But before I talk to them, I say, you know what? But they're going to get the best Rich Hanlin version. All the other conversations are done. The one after it doesn't matter yet. I'm going to make them feel like that was the number one conversation of my day. And that has really started to change my life versus letting a lot of hit and runs all day long. That's not the best version of me. The best version is when you said, Rich, can I get an hour of your time? No one's going to interrupt us on the front or the back of that. We may not take an hour, but it's your hour. And we get to just sit here and talk. And that's quality time for both of us because I learn too. I'm still learning every day.
That's fantastic. I agree. It kind of goes to that presence idea, which I think that's what you're speaking to is and I've learned we all think we can multitask, and there's a lot of science out there that doesn't work. You really can't effectively do two things at once. I notice even if I'm trying to put together a loan and I'm listening to an intricate podcast, I have to shut that podcast off because I got to look at these tax returns. Sometimes I'll put on some like music. So it is amazing what you just said. I have a question for you. Could I ask you
Yeah,
one?
I'd love to hear a question.
What made you, knowing that you're a good originator and you probably had a great life doing that, what made you step this way and start a large company as large as become an expert? What was your
Well,
driving factor?
step one, I was probably crazy. No,
Yeah, we
you
know.
know,
Yeah.
all fun aside, many times in my career as a loan originator, I was always having more calls or more opportunity than me by myself could do. I've always been good at getting my phone to ring. And one month I did 49 loans in one month, and I about died. And I said, what? Wait a minute. Pull that ad off. I can't do that again. I about had a heart attack. And I said, I need some people. And then I started learning, like, okay, I can keep doing it myself, but I have too many. So I'm going to start bringing some other people in, and maybe I can get a little split off of it, but I'm still going to originate. But I got to put these things somewhere because it's not a good experience for my people, meaning the borrowers. They're not getting the best of me, and it bothered me back then. And on top of it, I'm not giving my wife my best. So I've always been I'm just going to say it like it is. I've always been good at the origination side. Um, I've always had more than one person can do. And you're like, well, why don't you just build a team of processors and stuff like that? At the time, I never did what was called the core. So I went and got more loan originators and said, here, take these conversations start to finish rather than me taking every conversation. And I started to diminish, but then I started to find this balance, and it became just part of the routine to say, how many loan officers could I feed? And then it just changed over time into purchases and said, what if I should take 50% of the comp? Now, what if I take a lot less and I go after people that already have those ability and they're like me, they already know how to get business, and we concentrate on purchases because there's always purchases, even where there's hardship. So
That's
um,
that's
it's
awesome.
morphed over time, but even today, I still give loans away because you're not getting quality rich. I just closed one for my investor, but I had Brittany Wilkerson do it for me because Brittany's full time at what she does. I'm from 5 to 6 every day. You can't talk to me during the day because I don't have time. That's not a good loan transaction. Let me trust me when I say Brittany can do this. I'm here. She'll let me know if there's a problem. But unless there's a problem, you've trusted me before. I need you to trust me now. So it's morphed over the years how I do it. But that was the main reason I was forced into growing. It's a good problem to have. But people are like, well, I don't know how you could do 49 deals in a month. I'm like, me either. I didn't know I could either, to be honest. And
That's crazy.
I
Yeah,
did.
yeah,
It wasn't worth it to do it. I'll be honest with you. I learned a lot how not to do it while also learning what worked and what didn't work.
yeah, yeah. That's great. I mean, it's such an amazing company, and I love the philosophy of it. So it's working really well for our team and I, and it's reinvigorated all of us who've made this move, basically mostly from retail lenders, I would say,
Yeah,
maybe a
definitely.
bank or two, but it's really reinvigorated our whole group and me as well, being in this model, being more entrepreneurial. And so it's really a great thing you've done. And I just thank you for doing
No,
it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I know you got to get going, but first of all, I want to say thank you for your partnership. You're incredible to stand back and watch month after month after month. Your team is incredible. You guys have multiple top producers, and it's like Altitude, like has multiple top producers. And watching these teams flourish, you got Legacy Lending, we got some different ones out there, and I'm like, wow. I love seeing people reinvent the broker model in places that I didn't even think it could go. And I'm standing back and I'm going, hey, let's try that. Why not? I think that's legal and it could work. And sure enough, it's people are building their dreams on top of this platform. And I'm like, well, maybe this isn't my dream. Maybe I should just call it a base platform and say, how would you like to use the platform? And each one of you kind of does it different. And that's kind of what this has morphed into, something I never planned for, but it's okay. Um, Putting you guys first, you are my clients, the borrowers are your clients. My job is to help you, however I can, get to the success you're trying to achieve. And guess what? I'll get some success on there too if you're successful. Sure, I get paid. I'm the last one to get paid, but I can add 5,000 more of you, or I can say, you know what, there's over 600 of you. How about we concentrate on the 600 of you and say, how do you go from 5 to 10? How does Stephanie go from 15 to 30? And how does someone who's doing 1 go from 1 to 2? It's almost the same procedure, but each one of you know how to run with it a little bit further. And so my goal in 2025, just so you know, I've gotten out from behind the desk. As of January 1st, Alex and Lisa are going to stay on the admin side. We don't need 5 owners doing admin. We're at 600 people. And I'm like, this is not the best use of my time. The best use of my time is getting back out because I originate, I do stuff. How can I help you get more business? Here's ideas that I'm doing. Here's ideas that aren't working. Talk to me, talk to me, talk to me. And like you said, you know, a high tide raises all ships, right? Let's start raising it up. There has to be more than just being a loan originator at Xpert Home Lending. Camaraderie, teamwork, lifting each other up. I'm getting to the end of my useful life in this industry, and I want to leave it stronger than I found it. Somebody has to make something different. It's not just about adding more bodies month after month after month saying, hey, I got the most bodies. Good for you. I want the most funded loans per licensees. That's what success to me is in this industry. So that's where I'm going. That's what's behind, you know, giving recognition where recognition is due. And maybe one person learns something from you and that one person becomes better today. That's what I'm after.
That's awesome. Well, again, I just thank you and the whole team over there. It's been a lot of fun to watch you grow and be part of it. And I hope we keep this ship rolling along, you know. It's fantastic.
We will.
Yeah.
I want to say thank you again, but like we say every time we stop, an incredible interview with the top producer, by the way, Noel Bennett, best of the best, top 25 in the 6th overall market for mortgage brokers, Xpert Home Lending. And I bet you he'll be top 25 again this year. I'll put some money on that if anybody wants to take that bet. But I want to say thank you for all you do, because you absolutely blow it out of the water with everything that you do, and you make us look good. That's a dream come true. It's a dream come true. So thank you for helping me attain my dreams as well. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you for coming to another Mortgage Ballers channel. Like we say when we close it down, stay thirsty, my friends.
See you later. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, bye.